I get a lot of comments and questions from viewers that are new to wood turning or they've never turned a wood bowl. So today I'm going to offer tips of how I do certain things. That doesn't mean it's the only way to do it. It just means that's how I do it and it works for me. I have a couple tips that I talk about that I think are really important. One is an extremely hard cut to make with a bowl gouge. I'm going to show you how I do that. Again, there's probably other ways to do it, but this is how I do it. What I actually think is the most important part of wood turning is to keep your eye on the grain and don't cut away the beauty. Today is a prime example of that. I have a piece of English walnut. It is just amazing. You look inside of it, it looks like a hot fudge sundae. So make sure you stick around to the end so you can see this beautiful piece of English walnut. So let's get going. I want to show you my methods of making a simpler turning. This is a piece of English walnut. It's about 8.5 inches in diameter and 4.5 tall, and there's some cracks on the bottom we'll be turning away. There's also cracks around the sides, so I'm not only going to show you how I get this mounted and how I turn it, I'll show you how I deal with the cracks. And there's not a lot, but there's this one here. I don't know if it'll go away, but this is going to be a pretty piece of wood, so I want to turn it. A couple ways to mount a piece like this. You could use a faceplate, which is really good. But for this piece, I like to use a worm screw, and I have a longer one in my chuck right now. Worm screw needs a 5/16 hole drilled in it. So we'll just do that. Okay, so let's get it mounted on the lathe, and I'll talk about how I go about turning a simple bowl. So I have it on the worm screw right now. It's on there really tight. I could probably turn it without the tailstock support, but I like to use it anyways. And I also like to get the lathe turning before I put the live center against it. Okay, now I get the tool rest around. Something really important is keep your gouges sharp. This is a 5/8 swept pack. I just sharpened it. Sharpen it again when it feels like it's not sharp. What I like to do is start over here and start coming this way. Even though it's out around, this just gets me going a lot easier for when I do go that direction. Also, wear your face shield. I haven't tested it for RPM, so let's see what we have. About 6 1/4. Okay, we're round everywhere. We're not flat top and bottom. And it looks, well, I don't think we're going to get rid of that crack, so I'm not going to deal with that until we have almost to our final shape. So now I just try to decide what shape this piece of wood is going to have. A lot of the influencing of that is the features that I see in it and the grain. This is going to stay, so we'll work around that, and I think that's going to disappear. I think it's all going to end up looking just like that, which is good. I want to make this smaller right now. About 760 RPM. Alright, so I just kind of put a little shape on here that I think I'm going to like. And I want to keep that base similar to that. And we have to decide if we're going to use a tenon or a recess. Its shape's more on the top. I think I'm going to round that over just a little bit. Before I round it over, that not being flat, I'm going to use this square carbide here just to flatten that off. Alright, that's flat now and I don't have to go any further. So I think I just want to round this over and have a simple shape on it. Alright, we're going to go with that right there. So let's get that crack fixed. So I'm going to start with the really thin star bond. Try to get it to run down as deep as I can. I'm not done turning on this right now, and I know that's going to stain the wood. But once I go over it, probably with a negative rake scraper, it will clean that CA glue up. And when you see it not just drain real fast, you know that it's not real deep there with that crack. It's just kind of laying there, so I think it's full. I don't want to shoot accelerator on it right now, because it'll harden the top and underneath it won't as quick. When you start turning on this, if you turn this away, the stuff that's not hard will come out and splash you. How do I know that? Okay, I think we can clean the CA off now. I'm going to use the negative rake scraper for it. And another tip is don't wear a white t-shirt when you're working on walnut. I like to draw my tool rest away a little bit because of the shape of the negative rake scraper. I don't want it to slip into that angle and come back. Okay, I think I have most of that. We'll come back to that after we put a tenon on here. And I did decide on a tenon because it's plenty tall enough now, and I might even like to shorten it a little bit. I'll switch to a 1/2" bowl gouge to do that. Okay, we'll get that marked on there. Don't go too small. So you want to get that tenon as square as you can and as smooth as you can. So, time to sand. I should be able to do all the sanding with my 2-inch disc. I'll start with 80 grit and we'll sand through 400. I'll be sanding in reverse. I like to sand in reverse. I have my dust collector here. It shoots it right into there. Plus, when you turn this direction, you're lifting the grain so you can sand it off going that way. I'm going to go ahead and start the dust collector, and I'll see you when we're done sanding this. Okay, it's all flipped around and it runs great. Really nice and smooth. That's why it's so important to get the tenon cut smooth. And if it's off just a little bit or the grain's torn a little bit, this may not run as nice as you'd like it. So now we'll try to do that same shape in reverse and we'll have it done. I'm not going to be able to keep this on here very long, but I'll do it just for a little while to get going. We're just going to start about 750 RPM. Okay, I'm going to switch to a 1/2-inch bowl gouge, and I think we're still doing about 760 RPM. Okay, it's kind of a matter of working your way down as you get the wall you want, because we'll have to start following this shape back a little bit. If I can do this without getting in the way. So one little thing that's kind of hard to figure out is how do I start down that wall. What I do is turn that flute so that you're straight up and down. So I realized that I had my hand in the way when I was demonstrating that cut. This is just a piece of scrap that I put in here so I could show it a little clearer. So you've got your flute straight up, that's wide open. Turn it that direction. And we'll come over here and just slowly start the cut. Okay, we just accomplished one of the most tricky things to do on a bowl. Is to start that cut down in there. I just sharpened the 5/8 and the half. I'm going to use the half to finish cleaning up the wall. The walls are pretty close to 3/8 everywhere, and there's just a little tool mark right here, but pretty sure I can get rid of it with the negative rake scraper. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then it'll be time to sand. About 750 RPM. All set to sand. Should go fairly easy. A couple places where the grain kind of lifted up. It's not really torn, it's just kind of fuzzed up. So I'm going to start with 80 grit, a 2-inch disc, and we'll sand to 400. I'll also use sheets of paper. So we're doing about 350 with the lathe running forward. Yeah, it sanded those fuzzy things pretty good, and I think this helps as well. And I'll also sand that in reverse to help get rid of that fuzzy area. Okay, that's not going to be too hard, and I'll see you when it's time to put a finish on it. Time for some finish. I got it sanded to 500. I went over it with fine Scotch-Brite, and I've decided on using polycrylic. But before I do that, I'm going to use the Minwax water-based sanding sealer. Just going to wipe it on with this cloth. Sometimes I put it on with a brush and put it on real thick and let it soak in, but this is pretty smooth. If you want to see all the process of how I put this and the polycrylic on, I have a video doing that. But that's all it takes. And I just make sure I wipe off any streaks. Let this dry. I'll sand it again, put another coat of the sanding sealer on, and then I will put the polycrylic on, which is going to look just like doing this. I'll be wiping that on like that. So that's about it. I'll get that finished and I'll be back shortly. We're all done with the bowl other than removing the tenon. There's a couple ways that can be accomplished. One is if you have a set of coal jaws, which I do, you can use that because it's got a flat top on it. You can put it on there, it'll center it up, and you can cut this off pretty easily. What I like to do, even though I have coal jaws, is I have a number of these blocks. They're rounded over here to protect the inside of the bowl. And I'll use this most of the time because it's quick and easy. So I'm going to take a piece of material. This is shelf liner. It's padded, helps protect it. It also has a little grip to it so it doesn't slip. Bring the tailstock up, and I like to leave the quill extended a little bit. Gives you more room to work. Wheel it a little bit, tighten it up, and test it. Now, it looks like it runs pretty good. If it doesn't, loosen it up, wiggle it around a little bit, and now that seems to run real nice. Very true. I'm going to use a 1/2-inch bowl gouge for most of it. And we'll just start removing it. You could stop right here and chisel that off and sand it. If you're not comfortable with going any farther, that's what I would do. But I'm going to take this spindle gouge and cut it down even smaller. Okay, I would stop right there. If you're new to this, you might not even want to go that small. It's not going to be much difference if you chisel it off. So now we'll get this off and sand it up. Okay, it's all done. And in this video I showed a number of tips on how I do things. This is how I do it. And for sure there's other ways to do things, and maybe they're even better, but that's how I do it. So it's up to you to feel comfortable with whatever method you use on your lathe. But I was rewarded with some beautiful grain, and I think the pictures will show it even better, especially this inside. That's, to me, it looked like a melted hot fudge sundae in there. It's just a really amazing piece of wood. It finished 7 1/4 in diameter here, so it's a little wider there, and it's 3 3/4 tall, and the walls are about 3/8 of an inch. I finished it with Minwax water-based sanding sealer and Minwax Polycrylic, which I really like that finish. It does a nice job. I went over it with Acks abrasive paste and polish, and that's another thing. I didn't show that, and I've had people ask if I could show how to use an abrasive paste on the different finishes that I use. So maybe I'll make a video showing how I use it on 3 or 4 different types of finish that I like. So I'll get some good pictures up and it'll show the grain really nice. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you liked the video. If you did, one way is to give it a thumbs up. If you leave a comment, that would also be great. I do read them all. And we all would appreciate it if you could share our videos around. If you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. And for all of you who are, I am very grateful. Thank you so much. I do all types of turnings, from segmented to very natural turnings from logs. Let me know your favorite. Thanks again, and until the next time, see you later.